into the nitty-gritty behind monsters from different lore. However, there is a general focus on D&D.
We are players and DMs, so we draw from our experience with different tabletop RPGs, and we tend to go off on tangents every so often.
If you're looking for facts and historical value, this may not be the podcast for you. But if you love discussing monsters and all of their potential, just for fun, then we got you covered.
Adult content warning, and with all that out of the way, my name is Dylan, and I'm joined once again by my two brave monster hunters.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Melina.
And this is Mornings with Monsters.
Bugbears!
Bugbears!
Bugbears! Bugbears are crazy. If you guys have not realized, we are recording these episodes a little bit earlier before we release them, kind of building up a couple episodes. We accidentally put off doing this Bugbear episode just long enough to get the new Bugbear information from D&D Beyond, or from D&D official Wizards of the Coast shit.
And I hear it is quite a debate.
Quite a debate. I know almost nothing about it except for what these two informed me about, the fact that it happened. I know about OG Bugbears. I'm excited.
Bugbears are the same.
Bugbear, well, they're pretty much the same.
The monster part is the same, right?
Yes.
Okay.
There's one
there's
small mechanical change that is highly debated currently. And
that's the surprise attack damage increase, right?
Yeah, and it's not a surprise attack anymore.
Okay. Right, because it's not before initiative. It's anyone who hasn't taken an action yet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which
essentially is first in initiative.
Yeah, and it's just, I guess, a different interpretation of the same rule, right?
Yes. So it's trying to make it not a rogue's attack, right? So it's essentially instead of them having to be surprised, they just have to be lazy.
And I guess I would understand it like you're in a battle or you're not in a battle, let's say you're at your campfire as a party and 3 bugbears crash your camp. I can imagine that
they would do extra damage.
They would not only do extra damage, but they would go first. They would, you know what I mean? They have long reach, so it all makes sense within their own mechanics.
Yeah.
Why they have that change.
I believe they're a smart enough race to know how to ambush. So
that's like their goal of life, isn't it?
To ambush.
Yeah,
they basically stay into the shadow and
it's their goal. I thought you said the goal of life.
No, theirs,
their goal of life. I'm like, I don't know. The goal of life is ambush. No, but I can just imagine it's the intelligence and grouping skills of the goblins, but the strength and broodiness and menacingness of the bugbears just surrounding your party.
Yeah, that would suck.
They could wipe you out easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I play a rogue who uses sneak attack, but I feel like they're almost just making it a permanent it's like a permanent surprise essentially.
Only for essentially your first round of battle though, because as soon as
but you can't use a surprise, it's like your party is aware that you're walking into something, and that person is unaware that your party's going to walk in and try and attack them. Mm-hmm. You get a surprise round.
Right.
So it's yes, it's only the first thing of initiative, but I get it. It's guaranteeing a surprise round anytime a bugbear's in combat.
Right.
Yeah, people are just min-maxing the crap out of it. And
that's really the problem.
Yeah, they're finding the perfect. I don't remember exactly what it is, but the perfect class and subclass to max.
I was reading up, and it seems like the 2 best classes as a player bugbear would be monk or fighter.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's fun to theorize best min maxing, but don't fucking play with a maxed out character. That's not fun.
I don't know though, because like
it's fun to some people. Some people like to play.
With me specifically, like as Eben, I'm trying to get as like round of a character as I can. Mostly because his backstory was so specifically like all his life he's been fighting. But like now I get a little bit more of an opportunity of freedom because it's not like warfare constantly. But like with Lorne, it was a pretty hard decision the other night to like go with the subclass instead because I really should be as like a proper wizard. I really should be min-maxing the fuck out of my character and really just going for as hard of a hit or as like displacing of a like effect as I can without being
like
seen
you're
or
playing it correctly because you're as Lorne have been influenced by these insane people around you in your party.
And that's the reason why I'm doing it. But like if Stampy wasn't there and didn't show me how like a crazy paladin could soak up the abilities of a sorcerer somehow, like, and then you weren't like actively trying to teach a blood elemental common language with me, like I don't think Lorne would actually have chosen this decision. So that's really, really like specifically.
I feel like Sorcerer is like the epitome of min-maxing, though.
Yeah.
Is it?
Those are two things that don't really go together.
But you're min-maxing on a character that doesn't like
care about.
It doesn't care about the fact that they have the min-max abilities, you know?
Yeah, you're more like oh, fun, so, I have sorcery now, you know?
Yeah, but I totally wanted a sorcerer. Like me as a player. I have like a very specific build for Stampy. Like his levels are outlined and mapped. Like I've had that plan since the beginning, and
fair, it's the only player you get to play right now.
Yeah, I mean, but I did roleplay it into existence, so
that's true.
Exactly.
You know, I think that's a big difference.
Yeah. If you are gonna min-max, you have to make it make sense. Like
like put it into your role play, put it into the story so that like when players are like confronted with it or your DM is confronted with just an overwhelming force, he understands that there's a reason why it's there, and I'm sure it will be like put into the balance easier with a better build.
Yeah, and I mean like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's part of D&D. Okay. Like if I would have truly been min-maxing, I would have wanted to take sorcery at the beginning and got to pick like when I take levels of sorcery, but just having them, you know.
Okay, fine. Back real quick. So sorry. Well, no, I'm not sorry because I'm rounding back to bugbears, but it's also a completely different thing. You know who's basically a bugbear in human form with this sneak attack, like extra damage shit, brutal wipe him out. Sir Christian fucked my butt.
What?
Sir Christian Cole.
Oh.
From the House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Because he's just like grew like
God, I hate him so much.
Yeah, I hate him so much too, but it's like when you look at it, it's like he's just like grew up in this war and he has this battle experience. He's a fighter, and then anytime like he's kind of like the only difference is he's a little unsuspecting until he's like a
bugbear.
Yeah.
Civilized bugbear until like somebody says
something.
The smallest thing to like possibly offend the fucking Allison, and then
a fucking gooseberry drops in her presence, and he's fucking, you're dead.
So, for people that haven't played D&D, bugbear is a super weird word, and maybe a confusing concept to anyone that's never played D&D. And it was to me as well.
They don't look like bugs or bears.
It's not a bug. It's not a bear. It's a humanoid goblinoid that looks, it's furry.
It's like if you made a 7-foot tall goblin and covered it with hair.
It's kind of like it kind of looks like a hulked out Grinch, but not with green hair.
Yeah, like with hobgoblin tint.
Yeah,
that's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
I heard that the word bugbear comes from like Old English words that basically mean like the scary thing in the night.
Yeah, that I mean that kind of tracks. I heard in D&D that they call them bugbears because of the sound their hair makes when it rubs together.
Ew.
Sounds like bugs.
That's terrifying.
In like some of the earliest depiction that their hair was actually made of super small bugs.
Oh,
like yeah. God. So they're like kind of gross, but
okay, I kind of like that though. Like, could you imagine a bunch of like chitterlings like just making up your whole hide?
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have like swarm ability if you're.
That would be cool.
Modified bugbear where your skin's actually bugs. Let's do it right now.
That's old school.
Gross.
Swarm, whatever the fuck subclass Kimmy has to make her bug.
You take 1d4 damage a day.
Yep.
Just at the top.
A bugbear can handle 1d4 damage a day.
But I feel like if you're doing that, your constitution would level up every single level.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because with like constant bashing on a stat, you're almost guaranteeing the strengthening of that stat.
True.
Yeah, well, you'd think Stampy would be smarter by now then.
No.
No.
His charisma gets in the way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's what
his dumb decisions always are from the perspective of this is the most brilliant thing I've ever done.
He's always flexing that charismatic personality. Okay, so they're giant furry goblins, kind of.
Yep.
Well, they're not kind of. I guess they are goblins.
Have you guys read the like if a few bugbears clan up with some goblins, like they're usually left alone, but if like a hobgoblin leads the clan with bugbears in it, like the nearing towns will like band together and wipe them out for safety.
Oh, I didn't read that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like the danger level of like goblins and bugbears isn't high enough because nobody in that clan is essentially intelligent enough to do anything that isn't just brute force swarm. But you throw a hobgoblin or two into that clan who can like, enact some tactics and like have some control over like how the clan acts and when. Yeah. Like that sounds really scary.
Yeah, I mean it seems like the bugbear is kind of just along for the ride. And unless like they're put in situations where they need to fight, they're just gonna be lazy and bully everybody and steal their shit.
Yep.
And for people who don't know hobgoblins are bigger than and stronger than goblins, and more intelligent than bugbears, but not as strong as bugbears. So it would make sense for them to use them almost like a militia type thing.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I would imagine. Like hobgoblin command, and then you have like your infantry as goblins and your like mounted warriors essentially as your bugbears.
Well, the bugbears are used as like shock troops and scouts.
That makes sense because they're sneaky as fuck.
Yeah, they're super sneaky, which I was a little bit surprised to find out when we started this research. But it seems like everything about bugbear lore is like they are the two sides of a coin that is one sneaky and one brutally aggressive.
Yep.
Which is a weird combo. It's like a sneaky barbarian.
And like they can fit into small places like rogues can, and like that's pretty
funny. They're giant.
Giant, 7 foot tall, like mass, just kind of squeezing into like a tiny little crevice, waiting for somebody to just like walk past them.
So, I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe I should do some research on like bugbears as a playable race to see kind of what the difference is. Bugbears, they are surprisingly religious. They follow Hereg, and there's like two brother bugbear gods that they follow, and one's sneaky and one's strong. But in the play, like in the official D&D bugbear playable race, kind of like some of the information they're talking about, they say that ruled over by a god, but they're so sneaky that they snuck out of its influence, the god's influence.
Because I heard that there was like there was like a period of bugbear worship that like it was a non-bugbear deity, which was like the god of tyranny, basically.
Yeah.
But then they got away from him. But I did not know that it was through sneakiness.
Yeah, well, apparently bugbears are, at least in the newer, like the Monster of the Multiverse, it says that they are very like of the Fae, and they're
because
left
all
the Fae.
goblin got Fae ancestry.
Ancestry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean that's how they ran away, was they left the Fae.
Gotcha.
The Fae Wilds. They snuck away from a god's influence. That's hard to do. That just is a nod to how sneaky they actually are.
Right.
I don't know. These guys don't make sense to me. They walk around in like heavy armor with giant weapons, and they're, from what it seems, they're loud and chaotic, and it's the stealthiest thing you'll ever meet. Like that little caveat of their, being seems almost like it doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's a little OP when thinking about confronting it as like a monster encounter.
Yeah.
I don't think their armor is as heavy as you think.
Oh no, I would think it is, because it was very like specifically said that they do it all secondhand, so it might be like shoddy or like dented, but it is like full plate chain.
And I guess it depends on their class, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like what they've been able
I'm
to like.
Sorry, I'm not thinking
harvest.
that there's bugbears wearing full plate many places.
Yeah.
I'm sure like militarized or like bugbears under command of a hobgoblin. Like if you see a bugbear in fucking full plate, run the other way, because you're probably being ambushed by like a lot more than that. But I would guess that like they have more weapons and like leather and sure like chainmail, but I would imagine like less full plate on like your everyday bugbear, because like they're strong creatures already, like from what I understand, and like I'm sure Dylan knows the actual like AC of bugbears, but
16.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, so it's like without armor, without full plate, they already have like.
Oh, they wear hide armor and chain armor in the in the stat block, but yeah.
Gotcha.
See, but okay. Yeah, and that's hide armor and chain. Exactly, like that's their basic.
They're literally right above where it says they wear chain armor. It has a depiction of them wearing like spiked pauldrons and like chains hanging off of a.
Yeah, wear that.
I can imagine like an everyday experience being like essentially what you would assume like a gladiator would wear.
Yeah.
Like his sword arm would be like as protected as possible with like maybe plate, but also maybe like just plates of leather going down.
Sure. Like,
you know what I mean?
Maneuverability. I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of what it looks like in this picture, honestly, is more gladiator-esque. Like heavy shoulders, light everything else.
Yep. And like it makes sense too, because they're still trying to piece together whatever they're wearing from the dead bodies of their fallen. So
yeah. So we kind of talked about bugbears as a playable race.
Mm-hmm.
Bugbears in civilized communities or like as adventurers would be extremely rare. It's not something like, yeah, you could play a whole party of bugbears and justify it however you want, and then there's bugbears like in some like D&D settings that aren't such bad guys, but at their core they're pretty bad guys. I mean, they're chaotic evil, that's their alignment. But I was trying to figure out why, like, okay, so they're a playable race, and like there's bugbears that have turned to good, and I was trying to figure out like why. What's the justification for it? Is it just it's a thing, deal with it? No.
I've only read one thing that told me why.
Okay, it might be the same thing I found.
I read that when bugbears decide to be like a goodly alignment, it's for the long-term spoils of like their reputation being good.
Yeah.
Rather than like the immediate spoils of chaotic evil.
Yeah, essentially I think we read the same thing or heard the same thing. It's like basically they accidentally do something good early in life, and they receive like a better prize than they would have if they did something evil, and then they realize, oh, I like this more.
Yeah, it's like it's literally like a bully being confronted with like a conundrum. Like, do I keep bullying and getting like, paltry lunch money, or do I get my kicks of bullying by protecting like people from other bullies? You know what I mean?
And make
like
more protection money.
Right, make protection money, get like the reputation of being a good guy while also still getting to beat the shit out of people I don't like, you know? Like it's essentially like the route of like a goodly bully when you see a bugbear who's not evil.
Yeah, I mean, I pictured it as like a super rare thing. It's like if you during times of war, maybe a bugbear like came upon a wounded animal, and as he was looting his body, or like he accidentally heals him somehow, and then he gives him more treasure that he didn't have on his person. Like something super specific and random, like.
Yeah, or like he was on a hunt for a deer, but then he realized like a wolf was gonna eat it, so he kills the wolf and like somehow saves like a whole village from like the constant wolf attacks. Yeah, that's been happening for like a month that he had no idea about. But now like everybody's like, oh, the bugbear in the mountain is our village protector or whatever.
And then
starts getting offerings laid out and shit.
Yeah, they give him free shit, so now he's a good guy because he gets free stuff for being a good guy.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'll kill wolves for this, no problem.
That's hilarious.
And then there's Clark.
And then there's a Clark.
Bugbear.
Clark
He's
the
charmed.
Bugbear. He's charmed though.
Well,
and I mean, we met one.
Did he ever become uncharmed and just free will?
Yeah, I think at the end. It was a whole thing. He was like,
and then we met a bugbear in the campaign I run in Wilds of the Witchlight at the carnival. Melina, you weren't there for this.
Okay, I was like,
but in this campaign, there's a bugbear who runs basically security for the carnival, and he wears like a watermelon as a helmet, and it's quite cute and funny, but he will fuck you up if you decide to fuck with him. And like, thankfully, my party was still like, okay, we're in a fake carnival, still
not trying to fuck everything up that they
they don't do that anymore. So it was nice while it lasted, and like they didn't get into an early fight with a giant bugbear who would have probably wiped the floor with these level 3s.
I'm trying to think if we ever had a bugbear. I think there was one in the Blaze Hearth Barrows, just as like a random encounter, but I don't think we ever talked to him. It was just kind of like he was with the hobgoblins, so he wanted to fight you guys.
Sucks for him. He probably got killed.
He did. Yeah, all my goblinoid creatures died quickly.
Sad.
It's like the one drawback for goblinoids. Like you either need to send out 100 if you want to win, or they're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using,
you want to have a chance of winning.
Yeah, if you use goblinoids as like a force of like, I'm gonna throw these at my party so that they can fight something, then for sure, I think they're more interesting in like a setting where you have to try and work around them. Like the Mines of Phandelver is a great example, because like if you rush in as a level fucking 1 character and you have to fight a bugbear and all of his goblins, and like they could fucking overwhelm you. Like it's you could die surprisingly quickly.
Yeah, it's actually funny because the party that I worked with when I was DMing the mines, like you guys didn't decide to go to the goblin hideout first, which I thought was very smart.
I was part of that group. Here's the thing. For anybody who is listening who is familiar with Clark, they know that Clark is from that hideout.
The Mines of Phandelver.
Okay. Gotcha.
He is the Bugbear Chieftain, right?
Yeah. So
Bugbear Chieftain has 65 hit points. That's a tough thing for a level 3 party.
Yeah. And so in that context, I was playing a campaign that I had already listened to.
As a podcast, that's right.
Yeah, and the Adventure Zone is highly recommended. We love the McElroys. We are big fans here. And like if anything, like they were still, some of them were still learning. So that was
it's like
only part
1, 2, or 3 with a group of people that have never played D&D for the most part. So
exactly. Like they're sticking pretty close to the storyline.
Yeah.
So I knew the storyline, so I was letting the other players who weren't playing D&D trying to let them make the actual decisions of which way to go, because I knew what lied where.
Yeah.
So I knew like some of the things that like where they were, or like what could possibly like enemy wise, and like I was trying not to let my decision influence, or like my past stuff, like, influence my character.
No metagaming at the table.
I did a good job, and I don't think I was the one that was like, we can't do that. Like,
I don't really think anybody said like, oh, we can't go to the goblin hideout. It was just like, well, let's go to the town first. You know what I mean? Like, it does seem like a very sensible, I'm a first time player decision. Like, let's go to the town. You know what I mean?
Go straight in.
Yeah, and like they finished a quest there, and picked up a quest there, actually both, and it's fun to see that like two of the same stories can go so differently just because of like the decisions
that's the cool thing about D&D.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I was trying so hard not to make any decisions, because I was like, this is going to be a completely different thing. And like ultimately Alex ended up starting to DM the Witchlight campaign, so things became too much. We were all like, so we didn't finish that one, which I'm not mad about. Like,
no.
And
it's because like a starter.
It served its purpose. It helped me learn, and
we started playing because like Alex just needed a guideline to see like, how do you work with the guidelines of D&D, like
for sure.
written campaigns.
Yeah.
So that way you could, build on your skills, and now you throw in whatever the fuck you want whenever the fuck you want it, and that's
yes, I
fun.
do.
Well, there is a Bugbear knocking on my door. He's trying to sell me something, but
hopefully
he's got a dagger. I can see it. It's not very.
Damn. Maybe just like talk to him through the door then.
Yeah. I really gotta get those security doors. I'll be right back, guys. I gotta go deal with this. Hey guys, welcome back to another middle of the episode. I hope you're enjoying today's little discussion about bugbears. I know, kind of a weird one today, and hopefully it was a bit enlightening for you as it was for us. Lots of fun. And as always, we want to give a huge shout out to @MizandCake on Instagram. Check out that stuff. They did our cover art. Super cool. Also, if you found us by scanning a QR code on a sticker, whoever put it there, thank you. And also, @Olava's Cryptid Crafts made it for us. So that's awesome. We got a little bit of a teaser announcement coming up later in the episode. Not too crazy. Don't get too excited. But definitely stick around to hear about it, and tell everyone you know about this podcast, because that would be super cool and the best way for us to do advertising, since we don't do any other form of advertising. Yeah. All right. Enjoy the rest of your episode, and I'll see you next week. Well, he did try to mug me, guys, unfortunately. But he found out I didn't have anything valuable, and he kind of just left, disappointed. It's really anticlimactic, to be honest. Bugbears.
No,
I just let him. He's huge. He's way bigger than me. He's even hairier than me, which is weird. It's rare.
Rare for an Italian boy to be the last hairy one.
Bugbears are assholes. They suck.
They are. Yeah.
Like, there's not too many places in the D&D monster manual that literally say bully. Like,
yeah, there really isn't.
Like, it's a bully, which is like the worst thing. Not
I mean, especially in D&D, like you could be anything you want in D&D. You're gonna be a bully.
You're gonna be a bully that really doesn't have too much of any kind of drive to do anything. Like,
nope.
But think about it.
I'm thinking.
Kid who was bullied all his life finally gets to play D&D, and he picks like a fucking bugbear fighter, and he gets to bully everybody.
I would say most people that played D&D were bullied as children, right? I mean, not most, but like at least originally that was like the stereotypical
that was like
D&D
the whole
player.
Right? Well, not D&D, or they weren't. A lot of people who play D&D now, I would say, maybe didn't play D&D originally.
Yeah,
so
fair.
They weren't bullied for D&D, but they might have been bullied for other reasons because we're just people who have open minds and are willing to not just do the normal societal thing.
Sure.
Get bullied, you know?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean,
D&D opens your brain and teaches you how to think.
I don't know. I don't think that. I think I would want to play something better, like a knight that's righteous.
Yeah, or like a paladin who like swears an oath against people who get bullied. You know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like an 11-year-old kid though, like just needing. I
want to be a bully now.
Somewhere. Just be like, I'm gonna be a bully, so that way I have a place to direct my rage. Or maybe he's a bully in his eyes, but really he's just beating up the like bad guys.
You know, I would, no matter what, if I were DMing that table, I would make sure that all my RP went into creating such a dynamic change that kid is like, yeah, bullying in any sense is not good. You know, like
I agree.
I'd be like, yeah, I know you were bullied and it sucks, but like, watch this.
That's
you know,
such a healthy campaign setting to learn the horrors of bullying.
You know what? If you're not learning a moral lesson in D&D, you might want to rethink what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's true. I just imagine like every encounter is like an orc like beating up a fairy. It's trying to steal its lunch money.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's the only reason why I'm leaning into Eben being a racist, because I hope at some point like to not be racist.
Trying to show you like and I know you've like rolled for everything, which I appreciate, but you have to start letting me roll too.
You're just gonna have to let a giant kill him.
Roll against you.
That's fine, but at the same
something else, because
at the same time though, like the logic of racism is flawed, and so like if we're being realistic, the first time you come up to me and say, I've made dinosaur meat from things you think are shitty non-humans, the first time, I'm no matter how you roll, the first time, I don't think Evan is going to be like, I'm open-minded enough to try that, when he's like literally trying to start a fight with the commander of these people. I'm not saying that's going to be how it is forever. I'm hoping it's not, because I don't like being a racist character. It's hard as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like I could put you in situations that would present moral quandaries for that, but
100%.
I can't make you not racist through storytelling.
Yep. You can throw me into a battle that I will never win, but I get my life saved by Goliath, and that might go a long way. It might. But at the same time, it might not either. And like, I'm not going to leave it up to the coin flip every single time, because I don't think that's fair. You know what I mean? Like, there are situations,
actions or words involved, or if it's you like.
Yep. Like when I realized I was racist against Goliath, that was a coin flip, because there was no one else was trying to like persuade me or anything like that. I literally had no idea if my character would be. So it seemed like a coin decision. But if someone's actively like working towards breaking that barrier down, I can't leave it to a coin.
Yeah.
You know?
Aster, she's working. I mean, Aster is like similar in like, that's something that me and Aster share.
Yeah.
Is we are community builders.
And then, like, you guys have traveled a lot.
Walls. Huh?
Yeah, you guys have traveled a lot, both character and player, and so like knowing
after
that
being in a part of this continent that she has not been to or mapped, the fact that there's another map, she's just like, what the fuck? Like, she's amazed, she's confused, she's like, there's an entire race of people on the continent that lived on, like, just a different area of the mountain that apparently I couldn't get to. Like, the only area I thought I had never mapped is the Forgotten Forest because I couldn't fucking remember it.
It would be pretty funny to know that, like, you throw Evan into a social situation with Goliath and he will ignore / like antagonize anyone, but if you set him down with a bugbear, he probably would drink with him.
Shoot the shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Which reminds me, I am actually, as I have to do it before next session, but I'm like, I want to like write out a letter. I wrote it in my notes that I'm going to write a letter to leave with the Goliaths.
Oh.
Well, you already left the Goliaths.
Well, I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
Like with a Goliath, I'm sure we will.
Aren't we still like with their contingency?
No, I said that I left a letter with them, but I told you that I needed time to actually write it.
Yeah. That's fair. No, you guys are out with them, but
we just split.
You just
split.
Right.
Or like, kinda.
We went left and they went right.
They went into a forest that got mauled by they either ran away or got like mauled and destroyed by trees.
Evil trees. That's right.
That's demonic trees that we cured.
So the reason I don't like bugbears, and I'll use them. You can play bugbear in a campaign, whatever. But I don't like them as a person to monster, because they're so fucking lazy. I mean, they are so capable. So capable. They are master hunters, they're survivalists, they can sneak like no other. They are, perfect infiltrators, but they ain't doing any of that shit. They're just being lazy. Like, I hate that so much. It's a wasted potential, right?
It feeds really well into their villainous characterization. You know what I mean? Like, if there was a redeeming quality of them, it would be if they weren't lazy. You know what I mean? Like, even the most like honorable paladin would look at their aspiration and their like dedication to dominating as something to be looked at, and respected. But they don't. They go in when they know that they have the upper hand. They surround themselves with weaker minds and weaker bodies so that they can dominate them and steal from them.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
It really feeds into, let's just kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that their laziness is like the part about them that is like the chaotic evil in their chaotic personalities.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they have
led by whim.
Like ability, but yeah, it's like they're so lazy and you don't know what and when they're gonna be convinced by, like, so it's kind of winging it.
Yep. It's scary too, like thinking about confronting something like that, you can't really get into the mindset of someone who just kind of does whatever feels right in the situation for their own personal gain,
I'm guessing they're harder to read.
Yeah.
Just because, like, maybe they don't know what they're going to do.
When was the first time you guys have seen a bugbear?
Clark.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I ever even heard of a bugbear until D&D. Like,
Same.
The Mines of Phandelver was the first time. And that's like seeing him in the one bugbear at the end.
That's quite a different like first impression of bugbears for you then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I haven't seen him because I didn't get that far in the campaign, so I'm assuming that he's not the normal type of bugbear that we've been talking about.
He's a bugbear chieftain who's probably just gonna eat your face. I mean, yeah, he's just a normal bugbear, but he is kind of like leading the goblins, I believe.
Interesting.
So that's a little bit different.
Like, there's another part of Dynit. Like, it's not just him.
Yeah, I mean, there's I don't know if they're goblins or hobgoblins, but he's got a lot of like retainers. I mean, bugbears are lazy and they don't do much, but there's also the bugbear chief, right? They will take a little bit more of a leadership role.
Gotcha.
Not so much more so that they put any extra information about it, but I'm assuming, right? You're not just the chief of nothing.
Well, and you said that there's 2 classifications for armor class on bugbears?
Yeah, so there's the bugbear standard stat block, and that's like 16 with hide and shield, and then there's the bugbear chief stat block, which is 17 with chain and shirt. So like it goes from a challenge rating 1 monster to a challenge rating 3 monster, which is pretty significant. I mean, challenge rating 3 monster is they got a lot more going on psychologically than your.
The intelligence factor is huge when it jumps from 1 to 3, in the fact that like they're going to be more tactical. They're going to be more deciding on things that are not because they're crazed or enraged or whatever. They're going to think.
Yeah, and that does kind of show through. I mean, they only have an 11, which is a +0 to intelligence, but like the bugbear has a negative 1.
Yeah, and that.
But they are more wise. They got +1 to wise.
Knowing that when you're fighting a chieftain, it's a higher level of like forethought. Like you're not just going to be reacting to whatever the bugbear's doing, but he will be reacting to what you do as well. Like that's a different kind of fight.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure in the Adventure Zone they just charmed him and threw his wolf in a fire and said sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, charm person.
My first experience with them was this lit RPG series called The Land. If you guys haven't read it, I highly recommend. It is a pretty solid like TTRPG setup. The first time I ever saw them, the main character like gets in possession of a large village called the Mist, and it has like a natural defense system that basically shrouds it in mist. But one night, the entire village just gets absolutely run through by a pack of bugbears, and like the only reason that everyone didn't die is because the main character came out and he's kind of a Mary Sue, and he just like wiped the floor with the rest of the bugbears, but not without considerable loss. It was a very like dark scene afterwards where he kind of went through the psychological breakdown of these things just kind of came in, no warning, absolutely decimated my home, just 100% without like any resistance whatsoever. And that was a very scary thing for me to read because I had no idea what these things were.
Yeah, bugbear is a scary word.
Fair enough. Don't worry.
I don't know. Have you seen them at all in any other media other than like D&D?
I have not.
That book. I'm trying to think. Like I read a whole series about a goblin, which I didn't particularly care for by the end of it, but I read like 5 books, and I think there were bugbears at some point. I know there was hobgoblins. I'm trying to think.
So I read a book series like a long time ago when I was a teenager called the Edge Chronicles, and they have something that I thought was a bugbear for a second, but they call them bander bears, and they don't look anything like bugbears. So it was, but they're fucking brutal as well. So I was like, oh wait, maybe I have, but no.
I'm gonna say that maybe the Grinch is like an albino bugbear that was cast out of the Feywilds for
like a runt.
Yeah. So that's why he doesn't wear armor or anything, but he's kind of an asshole. But I'd say the Grinch
and a bully, I would say.
Evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Grinch is a bugbear. You heard it here first, folks.
That is fair too.
A Christmas-themed bugbear who's eventually changes his alignment, kind of.
That's actually, and it's because of like of an accidental an accidental thing that he did after he did the bad thing. Like, oh damn.
Yeah, and he's pretty fucking resilient, if I do remember. Right.
Lives in a cave.
Collects
a bunch of trash.
It's fucking Bugbear. He's lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
And bugbears.
So that's, I guess, my next question is the Grinch inherently good or evil? I mean, or bugbears in general. I think they are. I think chaotic evil, which is their alignment, it tracks pretty well. But I think that they can be so like chaotic in their disposition that like it can change it to chaotic good.
Yeah.
Or neutral.
Or neutral. And I think, honestly, they might never go past chaotic neutral. They just do good things because they have more of a personal gain.
Yeah, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of like flack for this, but in my opinion, it's the same sort of stuff that we see like on social media where people are like forcing $500 into the hands of someone who's like not expecting it at all and putting it on social media for everybody else to see. Like it would essentially be the same thing. Like these bugbears are not doing acts of good because they want to make good in the world. They're not doing acts of good because they want to see positive change happen. They're doing acts of good to get whatever the reward of that act of good is showered onto them.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
It's kind of good.
Yep, I agree. It is absolutely the most devious sort of empty good that you could possibly do. And if you're a bugbear, stop.
If you're a bugbear, PSA, stop being a bugbear.
Yes.
Don't give people money, just don't film it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if you're going to give people $500, awesome. Love that. Especially because you can do that.
No one needs to know.
Nope, we don't need to know. Just know that you did that and that you made somebody's day better and be a paladin instead.
Be a paladin. Well, it
depends on the paladin.
Depends. They go on a lot of crusades. Generally, those are frowned upon. Are they underrated, overrated? I
would say underrated in the fact that like they're not super used and so they're not really well known. Like we said, we haven't seen them in other forms of media, and it's a pretty standard D&D monster, but you even then kind of rarely see those. You know?
Yeah, true. I think with as popular as goblins are, they're like nowhere to be found, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like even hobgoblins are rare. Like you see goblins, sometimes you'll see hobgoblins, but you'll almost never see bugbears. And I'm just talking about like general media. Like, there was a bit of a goblin like craze for a few years in like the anime world. I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like
Goblin Slayer. There was that time I was reincarnated as a slime that had a whole goblin village. There was like,
I'm saying I love Goblin Slayer.
Yeah,
I have heard like some serious trigger warnings about the first episode, and so I haven't gotten into it yet. But I want to.
The first episode I started, and I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
That's pretty much what I got from everybody.
And then I got past the first like couple minutes, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
All right.
Yeah, it's brutal, but it's also kind of realistic. But it's like not realistic to like D&D standards because it gets a little. Yeah, there's some warranted trigger warnings for sure.
Absolutely, but like,
as somebody, those are goblins at their most evil, essentially.
Do you guys like the way that you've seen goblins portrayed, like in non-D&D media?
It's so mixed. I mean, like you talk about like Goblin Slayer, right? Those goblins, they're a good portrayal of goblins. They're evil as fuck, and they're like, doing goblin-y things. And then like you also see goblins portrayed as like just little green guys that are just doing their thing, and like if you let them kind of just do whatever, then they'll have a whole little ass civilization. They're not trying to conquer anything, right?
Gotcha.
So I think there's so many different depictions that you can find one that like works for
suit your needs. Yeah.
But no bugbears.
I think that's the thing. It's like in anywhere but D&D, we probably see them a little bit more in D&D than we realize because they're the lazy like bugbears in the back of this group and horde of goblins, and the goblins are the ones that are like more like rearing and ready to go and like have a stake in the like idea of this, whereas like bugbears are just like more power, like more
waiting around for their moment.
Yeah, so it's like we probably see them more in D&D than we realize, and they're just kind of like in the background being lazy, and we don't interact with them or don't acknowledge them, so we never actually get to see them. But like in media, that could be a thing. It's like if we're taking a show like Goblin Slayer, where like the goblins, it's a big thing where they they surround and they like come out and attack and all that stuff. And like they have less of like they don't really show like where the horde is.
Yeah.
As far as I remember, it's been a minute since I watched it, but like if they went and like showed the horde, or if like the second wave was of like had some bugbears in there and some like, or a hobgoblin or something showing like like I feel like that would be maybe slightly more realistic, or like not even necessarily realistic, but like just there's this big connection, and like they all really go in together and work well together, so why not?
I was asking that because I feel kind of disappointed knowing the way of the bugbear, that we didn't see like a bugbear security guard just like lazily watching people go in and out of Gringotts. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it is a literal goblin run bank, and with like so many hexes and anti-theft charms and like tracing spells and all of these things, that like the laziest job in the entirety of the wizarding world would be a security guard at Gringotts. And if you're goblin run bank, you would get goblins to run your security. And I think that would have just been perfect. Some 7 foot tall, hulking motherfucking hairy dude in a black suit, just kind of like lazily watching, like, people walk in and out. They don't have to do anything.
Yeah. That's pretty.
That would be a very, yeah, but then they'd have to have a job. Right?
That's their job.
No, I know, but then they would have to, like...
Then they would have a job in general.
Oh, like you're saying, like that would go against the chaotic laziness
I don't think they really care to have...
They'd be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, they don't have to smash anything. To get a job. They're sneaky. Yeah.
They're like out in the open.
Yeah. So what's is there anything misunderstood about the bugbears? I think
that they're sneaky.
That they're sneaky.
Yeah, sure. We didn't know that they're sneaky.
It is such a huge surprise to know something so big and dangerous and brutal and hulking can just like
be so sneaky.
Yeah, climb out of a tiny little crevice and be like, haha, you're dead.
Ah, I'm a giant monster.
I got you.
I would say the other big misunderstanding is like how religious they are. I mean,
yeah,
they don't seem religious because their religion is literally like being sneaky and killing things.
Yep. But the fact that they have a dogma and that they stick to it, like that's a pretty good surprise to me,
Yeah, they're a little Viking-esque in that sense, right? They prove themselves by defeating enemies, like killing a guy or killing something is like a way of prayer. So,
but at the same time though, like unlike Vikings, because it's not the killing of other people isn't so much of an aspect of the religion as the dying while in battle.
The dying while in battle. That's what I was aiming towards a little bit more so, because like you do want to die in a glorious battle, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like there's a whole like separate, disjointed place where people who don't die in battle go for the afterlife, and it's like, but like is that going to be like in their culture as bugbears? Like,
I don't think
it's more like spoils and stuff, right?
It's not very Viking-esque, but like there's not a lot of like real world religions, I guess, that are
Klingon.
Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
because I feel like the Klingon, like they're like a mix of Viking and bugbear because they love to fight. Like that's just what they want to do.
Nothing about Klingon. So.
They don't even care about dying. I mean, they like having a glorious battle death, but like they need to kill like 10 people before that happens. And I feel like the only difference there is like Klingons don't do sneaky shit.
Yeah. Yeah, bugbears are pretty unique. I mean,
it's a very weird powerhouse.
Yeah, it's strange. I think people just don't understand them in general. I mean,
well, yeah, it's like you don't
run into them that much because they are one of the least interesting big bad evil guys for level 3 campaigns. Like,
Yeah.
They're not that exciting, but like,
I mean, you might not be able to beat them with. Yeah, you might not be able to beat them with brute strength, but you can absolutely outmaneuver or outsmart them.
Yeah, for sure. And then last question, how would you use Bugbear in gameplay or media?
I think it would be an interesting setup to have a campaign where a small party of 4 accidentally travel into like a continent where it's mainly bugbear. Like even as far as like goblinoid other races, the smaller races, like you'll see goblins, you'll see hobgoblins, but almost like a flip side where like in this continent, it's the bugbear who reigns supreme because they're so big. And their laziness comes from being able to direct their forces other places and like take down this, take down that, expand here. And they come in only when necessary, but like you don't ever see like a horde of goblin. You see like a den of bugbear. You know what I mean? Like I think it'd be fun to see how our party like interacts with those people. Do they go in at first like with just like blind killing and just being like, well, they're bugbears, you know, like this is what we deal with when we're at home, like we should just wipe them out. But like the farther in the continent they go, like they see artwork, they see religious icons, you know, they see architecture going up, they see infrastructure. The deeper that they go, and their questions pop up, like, are these regular bugbear? Like, have you guys even seen a hobgoblin like trying to do anything weird and like savvy? No, okay, well, what's going on? You know, like I think that would be an interesting evolution of like perspective. You know.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think that they would create that kind of culture.
I don't think so either. But it would. It's like well, partying up with a drow as like a non-evil group. It wouldn't happen, but it could.
I think it'd be interesting to see. Like, I think it would be a misinterpretation. Like, you would enter this continent thinking it was any other continent. It was full of, but then you find out it's full of bugbears. Maybe you think this art's from them. No, it's from the civilizations that they destroyed.
Yeah.
Now they've become so docile because they've been so lazy for so many generations, just living off of the like culture of the civilizations that they've destroyed.
See, I love that. That makes the story even better because like at some point as a party you're going to be confronted with the idea, do we press on with this blind killing or do we consider that this might actually be a civilization that we can commune with? You're going to make a choice, and like if the choice is to blind kill, okay, story is rewritten.
I think we'd have a better chance if the storyline is like, you know, this is a continent that's been conquered so long ago that they've had nothing to fight.
Right. And like nobody in your party would know that this continent used to belong to anybody but the people that they see there. You know what I mean? And like it would be really interesting natural progression to see what the party would do as opposed to will they unravel the fact that this isn't actually bugbear civilization? Will they unravel the fact that like these bugbears have been just like waiting for a natural force to come up against? Or are they just going to sit back and kind of like enjoy the ride or wipe out this whole continent full of people, you know?
I like it.
What about you?
I had a hard time with that because I don't like bugbears. I think one way I might use them, or maybe even like take a goblin, like a little green guy who's like super ambitious, and he's always trying to do all these crazy schemes, and you know trying to like hit it big constantly, or like be the king of whatever. And he's got a bugbear companion that he just can't like accomplish any of these things because like he's not strong enough to do it, so he uses his bugbear companion who's lazy as fuck and just doesn't want to do it. But like he sticks with the goblin just because like every so often they get, you know, enough gold to like, all right, it's worth it, I guess.
Right.
You know, so just like the super ambitious like weak little goblin like always trying to drag this bugbear along to like do crazy ass things with him. I think that would be a fun dynamic. But
that sounds like an amazing anime.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Less of like a TTRPG, more of like some kind of cartoon,
like a shenanigan show.
Yeah, just like Little goblin.
I feel like we should call the goblin Baffled. You know, that's his name, Baffled, the ambitious goblin.
Baffled the ambitious.
Any ideas, Melina?
What?
Any ideas for you?
Honestly, like I think a lot of like our ideas were pretty similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at on that.
There's not a lot of, I don't know. Bugbear veins got to be a little bit deeper, but
yeah, probably not by much.
Tough. Yeah, probably not. Probably not much. This was a pretty basic monster, as far as monsters go.
Okay, we're allowed to have a basic monster in here every now and again, guys.
Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air.
People who don't know them.
Yeah.
Which I mean, up until recently, I was included in that group. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like we don't really know that much about bugbears, but we knew even less before we started researching.
True.
100%. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a good place to call it for the day.
Yep. Wrap it up on bugbears.
Yeah. So that's this has been Mornings with Monsters. We will
stay tuned soon. We have something in the works, a little bit of shift gear while being in the same vein.
Yes, if you guys are like, I really want to know a little bit more. I want to know what these things are actually like. We got something in store for you. Don't you worry.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a little something to look forward to. So,
and with your brains teased,
that's where we'll end it. I see a bugbear approaching my house again. Oh shit, he's got a goblin with him. All right,
you're gonna get
that. I'm about to get messed up. We'll see you next week.
You roll high on your initiative.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah,
Probably.
I don't know how much damage a D6 does to me. I don't even know if I'm level 1. We'll see you next week. This has been Mornings with Monsters. I'm Dylan.
I'm Melina.
And I'm Alex.
Bye.